Welcome to the special edition of the e-commerce growth summit. I'm your host, Steven Tedjamulia, chief editor of the Growth Publisher, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing James Maxwell, the CEO of Straw Hat Media. He is an expert in optimizing Google ad spend for e-commerce brands. Very excited. This is a hot, on-demand topic that many have asked that we present on. So we're going to dive into some of these strategies that can help your brand thrive in 2024. We're going to talk about the latest campaigns you can create, shopping cart optimization using YouTube. James, very excited to have you here, an expert, a man who knows what he's doing. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be on this. Excited.
Yeah, very excited. We're going to jump on in, but before we do, I'd love to know a little bit about, your background. Tell the audience a little bit who you are. We posted your bio for everybody who wants to read it on our website, but let the audience know, how did you get here? How did you start your marketing campaign? I mean, your marketing company. Give us some background, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for, making money online, and whether that was through, affiliate marketing, drop shipping, e-commerce, I wanted to kind of take that route. I started going down the drop shipping route, and I found that I really liked, playing with the numbers a little bit more than, managing fulfillment and talking to suppliers, handling refunds and things of that nature. I really just enjoyed more of the marketing aspect of that. And then as soon as there was an agency model that kind of made itself aware to me, I hopped right in and I haven't looked back. And I've been doing this for about 2 years now.
Sounds great. Well, we hope to pull on your expertise here and your passion. Um, James, let's kick things off talking about branded campaigns. Can you explain why they're crucial for immediate traffic generation?
Yeah, I mean, why they're crucial is because it captures that demand capture aspect of Google Ads. So Google Ads is a great platform because it has that demand generation aspect and it has that demand capture aspect as well. It focuses on the demand capture aspect of that, and obviously if you don't have a brand before you run branded campaigns, you're not going to see the success that a brand would, right? So that's why they're so successful. They capture the people that are actually looking for you and send them to the page that you want them to go to.
And what are the key elements to a successful brand campaign for e-commerce companies?
Yeah, really the key elements to a successful brand campaign, or the key elements to any search campaign, would be, having relevant ad copy that's talking to your end audience, having relevant keywords, so your brand name, brand search terms, and things of that nature, and then sending them to a landing page where they know kind of who you are. They get to kind of see more of your brand message, your brand images, everything is kind of in alignment there, and they are in understanding of what they're there to do.
And I just, it's a question here as people are looking at brand campaigns. What do you think are some of the most effective, successful brand campaigns you've seen? Or that you highlight, you're saying, oh man, this is a really good one that they've done, that has some of those key ingredients you just mentioned.
I mean, it depends on the brand. So smaller brands have that. Their brand campaigns don't do as well typically, just because they don't have as much of a brand built out. When you go into higher accounts or people that have a higher spend on their branding campaigns, and you're seeing, anywhere from a 28x return on their ad spend, just because it's people that are searching their brand. It's a great way to hit that bottom of the funnel traffic and to collect those people that were, you hit on the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel. They saw an ad on your display, your YouTube for awareness, or whatever that might have been. They go and search you up and you're right there. It's a great way to just capitalize on that traffic.
And you feel like, just follow up on that one, if you're building out your brand, how much should you invest in branded campaigns versus if you already have established brand?
If you're building out your brand and you have, it's really based off of the search traffic that you have. So it wouldn't make sense to do a branded campaign, or branded search is what I'm kind of talking about. It wouldn't make sense to do a branded search campaign if you have no search volume coming in. You can have that set up. It's not going to spend anything for you. It's not going to do any good for you because you don't have a brand set up. Um, yeah, I definitely don't think it would be as beneficial. But if you even have a smaller brand and you're trying to get going on Google Ads, definitely trying to go into that demand capture aspect of it, which is that branded campaigns or search network, shopping network, is going to be very beneficial for you.
Okay, that's great feedback. Regards putting measurement in place for your brand campaign. So larger people who have a brand reputation, they have a lot of search traffic coming in. What kind of key measurements would you suggest that they put in place to measure the effectiveness of their brand campaign?
So, same things that you're looking for in a typical search campaign, right? You're looking for your click-through rate. How do I optimize my click-through rate? How do I optimize my conversion rate? How do I see more conversions in this? What can I do to tweak certain things? Why is my CPA so high? Those exact same things, except you're expecting it to be higher than a normal search campaign for you because these are people that know of your brand and you want to convert and should be converting easier. This is the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the funnel traffic. Aside from retargeting there.
Very good. Those are good ones, and we'll post this session. But going into this is a big one. Common mistakes brands make when launching their branding campaign. What are some of those?
Yeah, so I just recently audited an account, and they're just kind of under the impression that it's a set and forget because it's a branded campaign. And I'm not sure kind of where that misconception comes from, to be honest with you, but that is still a search campaign and it should be treated as such. You still need to add negative keywords. You still need to add or increase your click-through rate. You still need to be tweaking copy and putting images where you can. And making sure you're not running on the display network as well when you're setting that branded campaign up as well. And you have that location targeting to set to presence instead of presence and interest. Those are a few of the kind of settings and most common mistakes I see when we're auditing an account.
Okay, and one more follow up on this one, and before we jump into shopping campaigns. If I'm a brand, I have you come in and audit my branded campaigns. What does that look like? What can you give to me? How can you help me out? Give me a short on that.
Yeah, so first we have to know your numbers. What's your break even? Where do you want to be? We're going to look at your conversion tracking first, and we're going to go a few steps behind to get to that first step. So we're going to look at your conversion tracking. What are your numbers? Knowing your numbers. Where do you need to be? What traffic are we sending to your page? Where's the search volume there? And then we're going to dive in and look at some of your search terms. What are you showing up for? What keywords are you targeting? Are there other keywords that you're missing from the search terms that you could be targeting? What can we add as negative keywords to that campaign so that we can hopefully refine and kind of tighten your audience a little bit more?
And then you provide a report. What kind of suggestions do you make from that for the branded campaign?
Yeah, so we'd provide a little audit report and kind of typically we would walk through the audit with you on a call and show you this is what we would do differently. This is where you're kind of messing up. This is where Google is taking advantage of your ignorance and spending money that, shouldn't be spent here. For example, like I said, on any really search campaign, if you have that location and presence on, I haven't found a good reason to put that on anywhere, but that can show that people that are just interested in, for example, Arizona or interested in Utah and not anywhere near it. So it can be a pretty big waste of money depending on your ad spend.
Perfect. That's great. So going on to shopping campaigns, we covered branding campaigns. How do brands harness existing demand effectively on shopping campaigns?
Yeah, so that's going back to that demand capture. It's one of those demand capture campaigns where people are searching up, for example, dog food. People are searching up that dog food. So that's the whole point of the shopping campaign, is to kind of funnel in and capture that demand that existing demand, right? So make sure you have a good shopping campaign set up, an account set up there, and then monitor your search terms and optimize accordingly based off of that. Keep adding negative search terms and refining your audience, and then that'll start to print a little bit better for you.
Okay. Um, what strategies do you recommend for optimizing product listings in shopping ads?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a lot of different things and a lot of moving components. I actually made a guide kind of walking you through how to optimize your product feed and things of that nature. I'd be more than happy to kind of give that out as well in this. But you want to focus on the main three, the three things that are going to have the biggest impact, especially when you're first starting out with a shopping campaign. So your product titles, your product description, and the product image. In the search terms, you can see what was showing up for, what you were showing up for, what got you the most conversions, what term got you the most conversions, and maybe you test that as a product title to see if you can get more conversions off of that word in your product title there.
Perfect. Any other suggestions there that you have for them as they're optimizing their product listings?
Definitely test different images, A/B test different images, lifestyle images. Um, if you're looking at dog food, dog food, dog food, dog food, it's not as entertaining. It's not eye catching to look at, 4 blue bags of dog food or 4 yellow bags of dog food and have nothing stand out. Yes, the color may be kind of appealing, but when you have all of the same, colors, it's still in unison. So have some background. I don't remember what dog food brand it was, but I think it was, there's like a wolf in the background of the bag, or just something like that that's just like, oh, that's a little bit different, where it's more captivating as well. And the shopping network by default, by extension, is kind of a price comparison campaign. So make sure you're not selling the same thing and then completely overpriced, unless you have, a brand or a specialty, or, you're a designer brand, and, product, your product pricing doesn't matter so much.
Very good feedback. And then, where can they get this white paper that you're talking about? Why don't we say it now, since it's in the part of the segment that would be interesting to them?
Yeah, let me do that. I can share the link to that.
Okay, we can post the link out for everybody after this event, but it's on your website on Straw Hat Media.
Nope, it's just one of our guides that we've created, so I'll just send that over to you and we can put that in here.
Sounds great. Okay, so we talked about product page optimization, product listing, audience segmentation. How important is that to optimize your shopping campaign?
I mean, it's very important, right? Google's trying to find your audience the entire time. You narrowing it down with your search terms is going to help it trying to go after the right people. But what's more important, in my opinion, is that having that product, or what's missed or what's looked over more, in my opinion, is that product segmentation. I've seen a few accounts now where I've audited and they have just all of their products in one shopping campaign. So, for example, say it's a luxury pillow throw blanket brand. You want to have that segmented out into luxury pillows. Maybe it's luxury, even decorative pillows versus outdoor pillows, and then luxury throws, blankets. And you want to have that all kind of segmented out into itself so that they can target its own audience separately. Imagine if you were looking for, a pillow, and that kind of same thing, the same kind of thing comes up, but it's more of a blanket, or it's a different type of pillow that you were looking for. You're not going to get that click most of the time, or you're definitely not going to get that conversion most of the time. So it's definitely more relevant to have your product segmented into one part, into however many parts of that campaign that there are. How many segments did you have in your store?
Good. And then how do you map out, just as you meet with clients, they may have everything booked into one segment, but what is your process in your audit and in your strategy of mapping those out for them and helping align with that? Is that something that is in your audit, or is that like a second part of your consulting engagement?
That's more of me thinking about how I'm going to build the account. So I don't know if that would necessarily be in the audit. For sure, I'd go through their account and say, this is how I would segment the products that you have on your listing. But what I would do is I would go to their website, and typically you have, a categories page or a collections page or something like that where you can go down and go, okay, pillows, throws, blankets, or dog food, dog toys, dog whistles, I don't know. And, I can go, okay, this is the product of the dog food, this is the product of the dog toys, this is the product of the dog whistles. This is how I would put these in together. You have these already in collections on your website. Let's utilize that in your shopping campaign. Split those up, and then we can grow with those.
Pretty good. That's great. So you have the audit portion. You could also go in there and optimize their shopping campaign for them. Um, let's go on with shopping campaign. Talk about integration with other advertising strategies for better results. Right. So what do you suggest they do? What are some of the strategies they can use to better get, accelerate sales?
For sure. So this is still demand capture that we're talking about. So you have your retargeting that you could do if you have a big enough audience size. You can upload a good list into your audience manager and kind of hit that with retargeting. Whether that's with YouTube display, that'd be a pretty good way to kind of get those people back to your site, especially if they've already done an action that shows that they were interested in your product. Maybe not just landed on your page and bounced in like in 2-3 seconds, but maybe they landed on your page, clicked around for a second, clicked 2-3 pages, looked around, or maybe they landed on your page, put something in their cart, and then just abandoned checkout. Those people are people that were interested at one point in a product that you had, and it'd be pretty good to retarget them. Another thing you can do is add that search to them, not having not branded search necessarily, but adding that search component to it. So people are still looking up, dog food and things of that nature. If you could show up on top for search, that'd be great as well for you. It's definitely not going to have the same impact that it does, especially for e-commerce, as a shopping campaign typically, but it's a great way to still capture that, use that demand, that existing demand in the demand capture aspect of Google Ads. So whatever your funnel you want to look like, it's just building out different sections of that. So whether that's adding awareness to it, adding more of a bottom line, adding a more of a middle kind of consideration aspect to that. Yeah, that's how you can integrate that.
Okay, so you've mentioned retargeting. You've mentioned, people dropping off out of your cart, SEO for the specific segments that you may be going after. Was there any other ones I missed here that they could do for strategies?
Well, not SEO, but search campaigns in general is
Search
what I was
campaign.
saying. Right. So I'm not a master at SEO or anything like that, so I wouldn't want to advise anybody on that. But search campaigns to capture that existing demand already for that product, yeah. That's
And
something
you
that you can
create
do.
and run those also, as well as the audit, helping them align segments. Is that another thing you do? Is help them create those additional search campaigns?
Of course, yes.
Very good. Okay, going into these metrics. So you have the optimizing your shopping campaign. You have multiple strategies to grow them. What are some of the metrics you use to gauge success of shopping campaigns?
So conversion based metrics, I would say, the conversion rates, click through rates, cost per acquisition, the ROAS, things that are showing conversion based metrics and things that you can optimize based off of. It's hard to see the whole picture without having the other aspects of the campaign, but without seeing the clicks, the impressions. How many impressions are we really getting? If I have an 80% conversion rate, but I've only seen 4 clicks, well, then that's not enough to really optimize based off of. So I want to see the full picture, but I would say conversion based metrics are going to be the primary that you're looking at every single day, checking kind of where that's going, and I'm comparing that to the day before, week before, 14 days, and looking at that in different time ranges as well.
So for our audience, you've covered the branded, the shopping, you've gone into the metrics. There's a lot for them to do, and usually they are resource constrained, right? And they need experts like yourself. from an expert who knows what they're doing, when someone's trying to pick a partner to help them optimize these shopping campaigns, any suggestions you have, right? So, what should they be looking out for? And of course, they should pick you, but what are the recommendations, right? As they're looking at, do I go with Straw Hat? Do I go with someone else? What would be the key criteria you would ask?
Yeah, there are a few things. So I've had a few people that have come to me and go, my Google rep straight from Google told me to do X, or my Google rep straight from Google told me to kind of turn on my auto apply, or to go just down my recommendations list. Well, there are people that will optimize their campaign solely based off of their recommendation list, which I definitely advise not to do. So I would just kind of use some common sense as well. Obviously, there's more of a technical side to it, and that's what's fun for me, kind of messing with the numbers and looking at the data and twisting that around and having fun with that. But I would say if someone's telling you to turn on all your auto applies, or someone's telling you to, just go to the recommendations tab, ignore pretty much everything else, and just go to the recommendations tab, see your data. This is going to help every single time. That's going to be a pretty big red flag in my in my opinion. Yeah, those are a few things, few little things. If they don't point out, if they're not looking at your search terms, there's a lot of things. Yeah, I'm just thinking of what I would do, and then what inversely what wouldn't I do. So
Okay,
yeah.
sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. Going into YouTube Shorts for brand awareness. YouTube Shorts have become a powerful tool for brand awareness. What makes Shorts an effective medium for this purpose?
I would like to preface this by saying that I haven't run a ton of YouTube Shorts this year so far, and I'm looking to get it a little bit more into that this year. But what makes that more effective is the reach that it has. So it can reach so many people. Think of all the people that are just scrolling mindlessly through, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. It's very captivating. It keeps you in that kind of hoop or loop, and you're just scrolling. So you get to see a lot of people that are actually seeing your product or your placement there.
Do you think this is a must do for marketing strategies for e-commerce, or where would you put that in the list of priorities for them?
It's interesting that you asked that. So that's something that I'm kind of in battle with, I guess what you could say, with myself right now, because the old ways have worked really well, and obviously things are changing and AI is getting better, the algorithm's learning easier. So I definitely say that it's something to test out, especially if you have a brand that's doing well on a TikTok or another platform. Something that's worked really well is having that 16:9 footage, or that video that went viral on TikTok, the video that blew up on Instagram for you. Put that onto your YouTube short ads, and that's going to do relatively the same thing. It's the same concept, and Google knows that audience pretty well. So utilize those same creatives is going to be a very good metric for you.
That's a great one. That's a good feedback. Going into let's talk a little about custom lists for retargeting. We talked about that a little bit before. How do custom lists enhance your retargeting efforts?
Yeah, more data is key. Data is key with Google Ads. So letting Google learn is going to be the best way for you to see results, especially when we're talking about a new campaign. One of the first things that we try to do is get data in there. Get data in there, get data in the door, and then talk about anything else, right? So we want Google to learn as quickly as possible. That's going to shorten its time lag. It's going to shorten its learning period for you to start seeing those results consistently. Whether that's putting custom lists in, putting as many custom lists in and letting it run and see those custom lists, see where your conversions have come from in the past, see the type of people that your conversions have come from, or whether that's setting it in the demand capture area, the shopping campaigns, the search campaigns, letting that run and accrue data for your account, and then setting up some of those more broad campaigns more outbound campaigns where we're trying to create that demand generation. data is going to be key for that. Data for and retargeting specifically, you can't retarget if you have nothing to target. So it's going to be very crucial for especially retargeting.
And how do you balance retargeting without overwhelming your audience? What?
Yeah, so there's that argument consistently in the e-commerce space, especially with Google Ads of, am I hitting these people too much? Do they have ad fatigue? And you honestly never know how many times it takes to get somebody there. So it might take you 3 times, it might take me 10 times. You don't know where I'm at in my life. I don't know where you're at in your life. And we can't do that as the advertiser. Sure, you can have an average after tons and tons of data. It's 6 times or it's 4 times. Usually it's 3 to 5, right? That people are trying to kind of cut off the frequency capping. I just say let it run because you never know. You just never know what it's going to take for that one person. I've been getting hit with those better help self ads, and maybe one of them will get me. I'm definitely at least on like 15 or 20 times of seeing that ad though. So just keep it, let it run. I don't think you need a frequency cap on that. Yeah, I don't know. Overwhelming your audience is difficult to do that when they can skip an ad or scroll right past it.
So, retargeting, we talked about giving more data to your ad campaigns to make it more effective. Data is king in marketing. How should brands approach data-driven targeting, right? What is the strategy? What do you suggest for them? It's something where they may have a big team doing it already, or they may not have anybody doing it or barely doing it. What suggestions do you have for them?
Yeah, collect as much data as you can. It's hard to set a target without having data, to just kind of guessing and then testing, guessing, testing, guessing, testing. You want to have actionable data to follow that and back each one of your tests up on. So it's very hard to kind of get to where you want to be in marketing without having any sort of data. Even with back to newspapers, people were getting data and saying, give it a second, let people see this first one before we make an adjustment. The same thing with digital marketing. It's that same thing on a faster scale.
What kind of data setups have you seen that you're like, okay, these guys know what they're doing? What should people aspire to with regards to setting up data, capturing data to make sure that they can make the best decisions? Do you have any examples to share?
Just capturing data at every endpoint. Websites that have that Google Tag Manager data layer on and have all of the information about their customers, have their customer list, email list together, segmented versus people that have bought only seasonally, people that have bought from a year ago, people that have bought only with a discount, people that have bought twice, repeat orders, people that are just constantly getting data at every single point. They just have it all laid out for themselves instead of having one giant feed of data or little to no data.
So you can help companies with their audits. You can help them set up their campaigns, run their campaigns, set up retargeting, capturing the tag manager, setting up the data infrastructure and reporting. Is that something you do as well?
Setting up the tag manager, we typically outsource that to a guy that we have. He helps us with the kind of conversion tracking aspect of that, just to make sure that it's correct every single time. We want to optimize based off the correct data that we're seeing in the account. Other than that, yes. So, yeah.
Sounds great. How can you ensure brands that they're using data ethically and effectively, right? What are some best practices you have there?
Ethically is a hard question to answer, just because everybody has different ethics, and people are all different, right? They're all different. So I say just gather as much information as you can. There's a point as to why you're using Google, as to why you use Facebook, is because they have that data, they have that algorithm. You wouldn't want to use Google if you're afraid of the data that it can actually give to you. So you want to be able to take advantage of that. It gets increasingly harder to kind of segment based off of ethics, especially when you're getting all of that data. You go, okay, these are the ones that are too unethical to target. These are the ones that are ethical. So I just kind of mix those two together. I understand that I'm using a platform that monitors my every move. It's all knowing, knows where I am all the time, knows what I'm searching, knows where I'm going in the next month. It probably knows my next steps before I do. So I give Google that information and it spits out results. And I think that's the best way to take advantage of that.
And as you're doing your data analysis, data targeting, what are some of the tools that you recommend that you use for analyzing and targeting?
Well, for conversion tracking as a whole and data feed management, there's Data Feed Watch, there's Google Analytics, there's GA4, which is what we use a lot. GA4, Google Tag Manager, Data Layers, Google Tag Manager in general, and Symprosis. Symprosis is a big one that we use right now. It's very accurate. It has that enhanced conversion tracking, that dynamic remarketing tag as well.
Well, thanks for sharing those with us and for the audience today. Uh, Display marketing and YouTube remarketing. Are these, how important are they, and how do you recommend brands start using them a lot?
Yeah, for sure. Use remarketing. Yeah, of course. Have some sort of visual remarketing. They complement each other by, they're both remarketing and they both use that creative aspect. So you don't want to be sold anything, right? Nobody ever wants to be sold anything. Nobody wants to feel like they're talking to a salesman. So there's not a point in time when somebody's going through a YouTube video and they're captivated by someone saying, wait, buy this. And they go, oh, wow, I should buy that, you know? So you want to have that more conversational piece, especially in your YouTube ads when you have that video component. With the display component, it's a little bit more difficult to convey that conversational piece just because it is a static image most of the time or a GIF. But you still don't want to have that, I'm selling to you, hard sell, hard close, hard sell. That it's just, it's not, it doesn't work as well, especially if people don't know your brand. Granted, this is remarketing, but yeah, still just have that conversational piece. UGC, yeah.
And what, when creating these kind of ads, what best practices for creating display ads do you have for capturing attention?
Yeah, so definitely, I'm definitely not the creative guy. I'm 100% more of an analytical guy. But like I said, no one likes being sold to. So try and make sure that when you're making a video, you're not going. There was a really good one that I saw, Prospect Bacon. I actually saved the ad. I think it was a guy in like a bathtub, the shirt off. It was just, you had to stop and watch the ad. You want it to be like that, where it's just kind of creative. It's something that's not necessarily super salesy, but you understand what the product is that they're trying to get across, and it's a great mix of all of those things. I think the best way to really get to lock the one in is to just continually test. You're never gonna know, so just continually test. So maybe being super salesy does work for you, but test, 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 and see the results and optimize.
Good feedback. Good feedback and advice. How does remarketing on YouTube differ from traditional display remarketing?
Yeah, you have the ability to utilize video, which is such a powerful tool. Um, it's hard to convey your whole brand in a picture or a GIF, right? So it's a lot easier to do that in a video or kind of taking advantage of the YouTube platform. Not saying that you can't put a video really on the display channel, but taking advantage of YouTube and the audience that YouTube already has, taking advantage of an audience that some influencer already has, you're able to kind of target those select type of people and continually go down in that audience. I really like YouTube. I really like YouTube remarketing. I think it's going to be a big thing in 2024, not just remarketing, but utilizing YouTube outbound campaigns as well.
Uh, Sounds good, and I'm sure you have some pitfalls that brands should avoid in displaying YouTube remarketing. Do you have any advice on what not to do?
Yeah, so don't turn on that optimized targeting, or I think it comes on, so turn that off. Um, Especially when you're remarketing, it doesn't make much sense to me to have, put together this list that you've been arduously putting data together, and all of a sudden you have the optimized targeting on, and you kind of tell Google, this is what I want, but go find other people as well. Go do what you want, pretty much. So turn that off. You have a remarketing list for a reason. Use the remarketing. That's a big pitfall, and it's just a good way to for Google, like I said, to take advantage of people's, not knowing their ignorance in that subject. Spend more of their money.
No, that's good advice. And we have two more topic areas here for those listening or who will be listening. Feel free to ask the questions. We'll answer those, and then after the session too, please reach out to James and ask him more. Some specific items that we want to cover are landing page optimization. It's a crucial part of conversion. What are the key components you recommend to creating a optimized landing page?
So having a clear call to action, having this landing page show up very well on mobile, and having this a simple site, simple design, making everything very simple for them, so it's not this complex thing that they have to grasp that they've never done before, and they have to go through all these hoops and hurdles, and there's just so much friction just to purchase your product. So make it as easy as possible for them. Is it paying if you just have someone that, if you're just putting Amex on your checkout and they can't buy with anything else, then you're only going to be limited. You're going to be limited to the people that can only purchase with an Amex versus, having an Amex, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, PayPal integrations all into your site where they can pay on pretty much every platform. You're going to have more people pay because they can pay. They're able to pay.
And then, how important is the mobile part? You mentioned that the mobile optimization for landing pages is, what percent of traffic you see, mostly mobile, web, or desktop, mobile. How important is it to be mobile optimized?
Yeah, so a lot of the traffic that we're seeing, so 80% of our traffic is through mobile. And that's almost all of our accounts. Our 80% of the traffic is through mobile. So I think the importance really comes through how many people are really seeing the site or on their mobile phone, on their phone. And it's the majority of people. So why would you not want to optimize, your main impression source, the main kind of traffic where it's coming from? Why would you not why would you not want that optimized for your mobile devices to get the best for your customers?
And I've seen this argument before where how landing page optimization, where does it play into overall ad strategy? Is it a big part of it, small part of it? Should I put more efforts on ads? What's your opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it plays a big part in your conversion rate. There's only so much you can do on platform to kind of help your conversion rate, sending more relevant traffic, more relevant traffic, more relevant traffic. But at a certain time, one of my mentors back in the day told me you can lead a horse to water, or you can paint this pretty door for them, make it beautiful, 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 get the perfect person to that door, and as soon as they open that door, if it's just crap and trash behind it, they're not gonna buy. So you can get them all the way to that end point, and then as soon as they get to the actual site, they go, "Oh, I don't know, I don't trust this. This seems too scammy. I'm gonna put that back," or, "Oh, like this, it doesn't look right. There's something off about it." So you want to be able to convey that trust in your site, and that's gonna help you with your conversion rate as well. Like I said, there's only so many things you can do to increase your conversion rate on platform.
Any recommendations you have for how to do that? Right? Are there tools? What do you specifically do to try to optimize a landing page?
Mate, he's our CRO guy. If I would go for anybody for CRO, it would be him. He knows. I stick with what I'm good at, which is the Google Ads aspect of that. I give the CRO to a CRO expert, and he kills it.
Sounds good. And hopefully, Mate wasn't feeling well today, but he was going to be at our summit. But hopefully next week we'll catch him at the CEO summit. and then we'll dive into the e-commerce aspects there. Um, we're coming up on time here. Success formulas. Um, if you could, summarize how to be successful with digital advertising for e-commerce brands, James, what would you say?
I say look at the entire picture. Don't just focus on one funnel or one part of the piece of the puzzle. I'd also say, look at what you see online and take that into consideration, but don't take that as law. There's no strategy that's cookie cutter for every single business, right? Every single business is different, which is why I have a business. I can help do that because I understand and I take precedence and kind of understanding and looking at the formula and going, okay, this is what your goal is. This is how your brand is structured right now. This is what we need to do to get you success. This is what we're going to test. This is when we're going to test. This is when we're going to start testing. Okay, this isn't working. Let's test. So the real formula is mastering the basics, mastering the fundamentals of Google Ads, and mastering the fundamentals of digital marketing, digital advertising as a whole. So you can understand, okay, my click-through rate's not off. What's going on? Like, why is that not happening? Why is that super bad? Why is that terrible? Okay, this is maybe a component. Let's tweak this little thing. All of a sudden, your click-through rate's better. Your account performing better. Okay, your conversion rate's terrible. Let's tweak this little thing. Okay, this is performing better. Now this is performing better. Okay, my Performance Max campaign is only targeting my brand, and 80% of my searches are coming just from my branded conversions are coming from brand in my Performance Max campaign. Okay, let's turn off brand exclusion. Let's turn on brand exclusion and exclude your brand so that hopefully we don't have to keep continually targeting those people. We can actually target new customers, get new people in this.
And if there were any parting advice you have for those listening, right? Those executives, e-commerce brands, what would you have for this conclusion of the session?
I would say just look at your audience. It's different for every brand. So look at your audience. Do you know your audience best? If you don't, get to know your audience.
Great feedback. Where can people reach you? How can they get, audit? How can they, get your help? What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Twitter. So James on Google is my Twitter handle. That's where I'm most active. LinkedIn is just not as, I guess, friendly to personalization, and I like to express myself without having that more business sense. So I love to be myself more on Twitter, and that's a great way to reach me. I have my Calendly in there as well. If you want to schedule a time, we can make an audit for you.
Sounds great. Well, we appreciate your time today. This was a fantastic session. We've covered many aspects of e-commerce, from those getting started to those that are experienced, from those looking to help. You're resource constrained. James is an excellent resource to go to with his company and his partners. So we thank you, James, for this insightful session on optimizing Google ad spend for e-commerce companies. And we are delighted for this summit. We have lots of other speakers speaking coming up in 15 minutes. We have Jamie Cavazos talking about e-commerce strategies and how to get started, how to scale your e-commerce. So, James, thank you very much for participating.
Of course, it was a great time. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll send you that link there as well for the.
Perfect. We'll post that. And thanks
Perfect.
everybody for attending.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.